Kylian Mbappé just became the greatest goal scorer in the history of French soccer. Tonight, at a World Cup, on the biggest stage on the planet. But here's what nobody's talking about. France were awful for 45 minutes. Senegal were the better team. Nicolas Jackson hit the post. Ismaïla Sarr missed a golden opportunity from close range that should have put the Lions of Teranga ahead. And yet, somehow, this France side absorbed every single punch, flipped the switch in the second half, and left MetLife Stadium with a 3-1 win and a new all-time record holder in their captain. But the real question isn't whether Mbappé is elite. We all know that. The real question is this France team genuinely built to win the World Cup? Or are the cracks already showing beneath the gold? Welcome back. If you're new here, this is Soccer Queen USA, where we don't do highlight reels, we do the truth. Now, let's set the scene properly, because this match had layers. France came into this tournament as one of the pre-tournament favorites, the 2018 World Cup winners, 2022 finalists, and they opened their 2026 campaign against African powerhouse Senegal at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 80,000-plus fans inside that stadium, the world watching. And France, the most talented squad on the planet on paper, came out looking like they hadn't slept in 3 days. Senegal dominated the first half. They squandered a golden chance to take the lead moments before the interval. And that miss, that single moment of wasteful finishing, it changed everything. Because second half, France were unrecognizable. Mbappe scored twice, first equalizing Olivier Giroud's all-time record of 57 goals with a first-time finish from Michael Olise's defense-splitting pass, then becoming France's outright leading scorer on 58, with a sensational long-range finish in stoppage time. Bradley Barcola, who had only just come on for Ousmane Dembélé, beat Mendy from close range after a through ball from Adrien Rabiot to make it 2. Senegal's consolation came from 18-year-old Ibrahim Mbaye, billed as the next Mbappe himself, before the original silenced everyone with that thunderous 30-yarder. Final score, France 3, Senegal 1. History made, controversy created, questions raised. And today, I'm going to cover 3 things. 1. What Mbappe's historic night actually means for France's title charge. 2. The uncomfortable truth about France's first-half performance and what it reveals about Deschamps' system. 3. The most underrated story from this match that everyone is sleeping on. Plus, my hot take, and trust me, you're not going to agree with me on this one. Let's get into it. Point 1. Mbappe's historic night is bigger than just a record. Let's start with the obvious, then go deeper. Mbappe is now on 58 international goals, the outright leading scorer in French soccer history, surpassing Olivier Giroud. That alone is a headline. But the way he got there, that's the story. Think about the pressure on this man coming into this tournament. Real Madrid, captain of France, the weight of an entire nation's expectations sitting on his shoulders every single time he pulls on that blue shirt. And in the first half tonight, he was invisible, quiet, frustrated. A controversial moment arrived in the 59th minute when Mane's tackle caught Mbappe's trailing leg inside the area. The referee consulted VAR and, incredibly, confirmed the non-penalty decision. Mbappe was livid, rightfully so. And here's what separates the truly elite from everyone else. He didn't sulk. He didn't throw his hands up and mentally check out. He redirected that fury, channeled every ounce of frustration into the moment that broke Senegal open. In the 65th minute, Olise passed the ball from the right side into the box to Mbappe, who immediately kicked a perfect shot past the Senegal goalkeeper into the far corner of the net. Clinical, cold-blooded, record-equaling. Then, just when Senegal thought they had a lifeline with Mbaye's consolation, Mbappe responded instantly with a looping strike that flew into the back of the net from 30 yards out. Record broken. Game over. Statement made. He now sits at 14 World Cup goals, level with German legend Gerd Müller, behind only Ronaldo's 15 for Brazil and Miroslav Klose's all-time record of 16. 2 goals from Klose's record, at 1 World Cup. Let that sink in. Now, most pundits are framing this purely as a feel-good moment, the king reclaiming his throne. And I get it, but I'm going to push back on something. People are acting like tonight proved Mbappe is back to his absolute best. It didn't. 2 goals in 25 minutes doesn't erase 45 minutes of near invisibility. The real test isn't Senegal. The real test is when France face a team that doesn't gift them space in the second half. When the defensive structure is airtight from minute 1 to minute 90. That's when we find out what version of Mbappe has shown up to this World Cup. But tonight? Tonight was a reminder of something important. When it matters most, this man delivers. Every single time. Point 2. France's first half was a warning sign nobody wants to admit. Right. Here's where I'm going to say something that's going to upset a few people. France were bad in that first half. Not unlucky, not just warming up, bad. Senegal were the better side in the first half. Nicholas Jackson hit the post before Ismaïla Sarr missed a golden opportunity from close range. These weren't half chances. These were moments where, against a clinical side, France would have been behind, and deservedly so. Why? Because Deschamps' system had a fundamental problem. Senegal went man-to-man high up the pitch, but settled into a more zonal 4-5-1 when France progressed upfield. The defensive shape offered little room for France to maneuver in central areas, forcing Michael Olise and Ousmane Dembélé to pick up the ball in positions where they were never going to hurt the opposition. By constantly asking these players to play inside, right-back Jules Koundé became far too important as an outlet for a team boasting the mightiest attack at the tournament. Your right-back as your primary creative outlet. With Mbappe, Olise, and Dembélé on the pitch? That is a Deschamps problem. That is a tactical problem. And let's be honest, France outshot Senegal 10-1 in the second half. 10-1. Which tells you everything about what changed at the break. But it also tells you the first 45 minutes were almost a different match entirely. The mainstream narrative right now is, France were brilliant, Mbappe made history, World Cup, here we come. And I understand why people want to believe that. But if France play like that first half against a Germany, a Brazil, a Spain, they will be punished severely. The second half saved the story. It didn't rewrite the first chapter. Deschamps has work to do, and he knows it. Point 3. The Ibrahim Mbaye story is the most important subplot of this entire match. Everyone's talking about Mbappe. Nobody's talking about the 18-year-old kid who almost stole the show. Ibrahim Mbaye. PSG Academy product. Billed as the next Mbappe himself. Came on as a substitute for Senegal late in the game. And what did he do? He scored. Against France. Against Maignan. At a World Cup. At 18 years old. Think about that for a second. Mbaye's consolation set up a frantic finish, and for about 3 minutes, MetLife Stadium genuinely didn't know what was going to happen next. Senegal had momentum. The crowd was electric, and this teenager, cool as you like, had just announced himself to the entire planet. Mbaye earned a 7.5 rating after scoring a brilliant goal from distance, as a substitute, in his first World Cup appearance against the tournament favorites. That is not a consolation goal. That is a statement. Now here's what I want you to think about. Senegal were not just a warm-up act tonight. They dominated the first half and squandered real opportunities to take the lead. Sadio Mane, yes, he was quiet for large parts, but his presence alone disrupted France's defensive shape. He gave Theo Hernandez a runaround at times. And Ismaïla Sarr? Dangerous every time he had space to run into. This Senegal side is genuinely capable of causing upsets in this group. Don't sleep on them. The scoreline says 3-1. The game said something very different for 45 minutes. But back to Mbaye, because this subplot goes even deeper. Here is a teenager, trained in the PSG system, mentored in the same soccer culture that produced Mbappe, coming on at a World Cup and scoring against the very nation that system belongs to. There's something almost poetic about that. And slightly terrifying for every other team in Group 1. Because if Senegal's substitutes are this dangerous, if their depth includes an 18-year-old who can score long-range goals at World Cups, they are not going out quietly. Not even close. Mark Mbaye's name down. You're going to be saying it a lot over the next few weeks. The hot take. All right, this is the part of the show where I stop being diplomatic, where I tell you what I actually believe, not what's comfortable, not what gets the most nods in a studio. Here it is. Michael Olise, not Kylian Mbappé, is the most important player in this France squad. And if France win the 2026 World Cup, Olise will be the reason why. I know. Put down the pitchforks. But hear me out. Olise entered this World Cup as a legitimate Ballon d'Or contender off the back of a magical season with Bayern Munich. He's one of France's 4 horsemen, and although he can't be the leading man while Mbappe is around, it was Olise who turned it on in the second half and galvanized a struggling France team. That pass for Mbappe's first goal? Olise was rated 8.5 after taking control of France's attacking play and creating Mbappe's opening goal with an excellent pass. It was defense-splitting. It was surgical. It was the kind of pass that only players operating on a completely different level can even conceive of playing. Mbappe gets the goals. Mbappe gets the records. Mbappe gets the magazine covers. But Olise is the one making France tick. He's the one unlocking defenses. He's the creative engine. And in a tournament where every team will set up to stop Mbappe, because of course they will, Olise becomes not just important, he becomes essential. France without Mbappe in form is still dangerous. France without Olise in form? That first half tonight is what you get. Think about it. The conclusion is coming. And I've got one final verdict that ties everything together. Let's bring it all home. 3 points, 3 punchy sentences. Pay attention. 1. Mbappe made history tonight, but 2 goals in 25 second-half minutes against a tiring Senegal defense does not mean he's untouchable yet. The real Mbappe test is still coming. 2. France's first half was a tactical mess that Deschamps absolutely must fix because the next opponent won't be as generous with their missed chances as Senegal were. 3. Ibrahim Mbaye is the most exciting 18-year-old at this tournament, and Senegal are a far more dangerous side than that 3-1 scoreline suggests. Now, the final verdict, and I'm going even harder than before. France stuttered, steadied, and eventually stunned at MetLife Stadium tonight. That sentence right there, that's the entire France story in 2026. They will stutter. They will make you nervous. They will look beatable for long stretches. And then, when the moment demands it, they will detonate. Because that is what squads built with this much individual quality do. They don't always play beautiful soccer. They don't always dominate from minute one. But they find a way. They always find a way. Didier Deschamps said after the match, "It's relief. We did have some apprehension. It's always great to start with a win." Relief. The coach of the tournament favorites used the word relief after the opening game. That tells you everything. This is not a France side dripping with arrogance and certainty. This is a France side that knows they are vulnerable, that knows they have problems to solve, and somehow that makes them more dangerous, not less. A wounded, motivated, historically loaded France side with Mbappe chasing Klose's all-time World Cup scoring record of 16 goals. He's already at 14, 2 behind Klose, 1 behind Ronaldo. The math is terrifying, the momentum is real, and the world is watching. My final verdict? France are not the most complete team at this World Cup, but they are absolutely still the most likely to win it. And tonight, despite all the chaos, despite the first half, despite the VAR controversy, they proved exactly why. Now here's the question I want you to answer in the comments, and I want a real debate, not just vibes. Should Michael Olise start as France's primary creative force ahead of Ousmane Dembélé for the rest of this tournament? Yes or no, and why? Drop it below. I read every single one. And look, if you made it to the end of this video, you already know this channel is different. We don't do lazy takes. We don't do safe opinions. We do the work. We watch the soccer, and we give you the truth. If that's the kind of soccer content you want, the subscribe button is right there. It costs you nothing, and it means everything. See you for the next one.